So in this video, I want to show you how you can get more battery life out of using your Galaxy Watch 4. Let's jump into it. Hey everyone, my name is Jeff, and on this channel I do tech review, tip videos, and more. I've done a whole bunch of review videos on the Galaxy Watch 4. Today I want to talk to you about giving you tips and ways to save battery. So if you've noticed that your battery seems to be depleting quickly, I've got a bunch of tips here that I'm going to recommend to help you get more out of using your battery. My first tip is making sure that your Galaxy Watch 4 is running the latest software. That just means that it'll be running as efficiently as possible. You can do this very simply by just swiping down from the top. This takes you in your quick settings and going to the gear icon. Now under settings, you're going to scroll down until you see software update. And there is software update. I can tap on that and it's going to check to make sure I'm running the latest update. My watch is currently up to date, but if it wasn't, I could install that latest update and just make sure that the watch is running as efficiently as possible. So my next tip for you is to restart the watch. If you haven't restarted your Galaxy Watch 4 in a while, or maybe you've never restarted the thing, this is just like restarting your phone, restarting your computer. It's going to clear out anything that might be hanging up, draining the battery. You can easily restart by just long holding and pressing down these two right buttons for 7 seconds, and you'll see the watch restart. You can also swipe down from the top of the screen, and right in the center there under quick settings is that power button. You can tap on that and then tap to turn it off. And then once the watch is fully shut down, you can long press this top right button and that will start your watch back up. So you can also increase your battery life by installing a darker watch face or clock face on your watch by just long pressing on your screen. That allows you to choose different watch faces. You'll notice this face here has a lot of white and brighter coloring to it. That is going to eat away at my battery faster. Now, a lot of the watch faces underneath will have a customize, and by going into customize, if you really like that watch face, you can just use the bezel then to change whatever the background is. And I can still use that watch face, but I've changed it to darker colors. Now, by the way, if you're interested in my top 10 favorite watch faces, there's a link down in this video description where I review my top 10 favorite watch faces. Along the lines of watch faces, there is an app that you can install called Facer, and you may have this installed on your watch, and this app gives you lots of different cool watch faces to choose from. I will say that since I have installed and been using Facer, there's a lot of great watch faces, but I have noticed it kills the battery on my watch. So just as an additional comment from me, and you can take it for what it's worth, by long tapping on that app, by going under your apps, you can uninstall the Facer app. And I've just found that using more of the stock face apps from Samsung or even other third-party apps outside of Facer seem to increase my battery life. And real quick, congratulations to Ahmed Al-Natri and Pamela Hill, latest viewers of our videos on Tinker Ford that have gotten their name on our Tinker Ford Hall of Fame page. And I'm giving them a shout out in this video. Now, how can you get a shout out in a future video? You need to look for Tinker. Tinker is our little hidden robot who looks just like this guy right here. He's going to briefly pop up somewhere during this video. If you happen to spot him popping up, take note of the timestamp or the amount of time into this video that you spotted him popping up, and let me know that timestamp down in the comments section below. And if you're that first person, I'll give you a shout out as well as add your name to our Tinker Ford Hall of Fame page. So the more apps that you are running on your watch, the more battery it's sucking. And if you swipe up on the top of your screen, you can see all the apps you have installed. If you're noticing there's apps on here that you don't use or you haven't used in forever, long press on them and just uninstall them. Now in the meantime, every app you've opened, if you haven't closed it, is still taking up battery by running in the background. And you'll notice here I just tapped on that little circle icon. I went into my apps, tapped on that circle icon, and this shows all the different apps that are currently running on my watch. These are all taking up different forms of battery power. So you can just swipe up to stop running whatever app it is, or if you scroll all the way to the left, there's this close all. You can tap that, and that is going to close out of all the apps you currently have running on your watch. So as a quick cheat to easily access any of your recent apps, you can program this bottom button so that by pressing it, it'll show you all your recently used apps, and then you can easily just go to close. In order to quickly program this button, you can just pull down from your top screen for quick settings, click the gear, and then from here under settings, find advanced features. And then under advanced features, you can scroll down to this customize keys. Under customize keys, that's this back key. And if you tap on this, you can change it from go to previous screen to show recent apps. I just selected that, and then you can press your top button to get out of this. But now this key is programmed so that when I push that bottom button, it takes me to all my recently used apps, and I can easily just clear them all to free up battery space so it's not constantly draining my battery. And if you want to use your Galaxy Watch 4, be more productive with it, play games on it, do things like stream and listen to music, I've done a whole series of videos on my top favorite apps for this watch, and that will be linked down in the video description below. So the watch has Bixby on it, and it's great because it's the voice assistant for the watch. You can do tons of stuff with it, but I understand it's not for everybody, and if you're not using it, take it off, turn it off, because it's sucking the battery life out of your watch. You can easily do that by just swiping up to get into your apps, finding the icon, and then when you tap on it, tap this little icon down below before you start talking, or it's going to do this. But if we swipe back, go in, I tap the icon, then it takes you into the settings or the discover, and if you scroll all the way down, you'll get to settings. You can tap on settings, and then under here, you'll see that you can scroll down to this voice wake up. It's currently on, and we're going to turn this off, but with that on, it's constantly using battery, listening for your voice to wake Bixby up if I'm going to call on it. This way, this is saving all that battery power by not constantly monitoring. So the brightness and display of your watch affect the battery life. If you swipe down from the top of the screen and then scroll through your menus, you're looking for this brightness icon of the sun. And by tapping on that, that is going to allow you to adjust how bright you want your screen. Usually I keep mine just under 50%, and I've noticed that increases the battery life. The other thing is that if we swipe to go back, if you want a convenient way to change your brightness, if that sun icon is not on the first menu, if you go to the plus icon, you can scroll through these different menus, find the brightness icon, and then long press on it, and that allows you to drag it so that you can move it wherever you want. If you want to put it in one of these front slots, it's always conveniently available for you then to just tap on it. Hit that power button to go back, and then if I swipe down from the top into quick settings, if I just long press on the brightness or the display icon, that takes me to all the display settings. You can also turn off this auto brightness feature, and this is going to stop the watch from continuously brightening and darkening your screen. For some people, that is a great feature, and for somebody like myself, sometimes I've noticed the watch is brighter than I need it to be in certain conditions. This is also where you can turn on the always on display or turn it off. By having always on display on, that is also going to eat away at your battery faster. You can also control things like your raise wrist to wake and touch screen to wake options. And also scrolling down a little bit more will take you to this screen timeout. Now, if you've got this set to 1 minute or 30 seconds, that is also going to eat away at your battery. So if you want to reduce that, you can also set it down to as low as 15 seconds. So your watch also makes lots of sounds and vibrates when you get different, when you do different things with it. And that also eats away at the battery. So if those are functions that you can live without, you can scroll down from the top, go into quick settings and then the gear, go to your sounds and vibrations, And you'll notice that you can customize things here. So you can set the watch to sound, vibrate, mute. Under vibration, a lot of times this is set to long by default. You can set it to short. You can also have it be a strong or a light vibration. Now I've kind of played around with these settings. My preference is to have a strong but very short vibration, and then that still lets me know that I'm getting a notification or something like that, but it's not using quite as much battery power as using a long vibration. So if we swipe to the right, that takes us back a menu under the vibrations, and if we scroll down a little more, the other thing is there are system vibrations, and you also have the ability to turn those off. Those are little vibrations the watch gives you if you're going to scroll to the bottom of a menu or if you're going to go back a menu. I don't really need those vibrations, so if I can save a little bit of battery, I'm going to turn that feature off. And if you're finding the information in this video helpful, take a second right now, smash that like button. You can do it right now, I'll wait for you. I greatly appreciate it. It helps out this video as well as this channel. So in my opinion, the quicker you can do something on the watch, the less time you have to spend monkeying around. And this is the keyboard that Samsung puts on for responding to text messages, things like that. There is an app that you can install which is called Gboard, and that gives you a nicer keyboard in my opinion that I prefer for responding to different text messages, things like that. I actually installed that on my watch, and that turns the keyboard into this. So here's Gboard, and what I like about Gboard is not only does it show you the full keyboard, but then as you are typing, it tries to guess what you're writing, and that just makes it a little easier. You can also swipe type, and when I've figured out what I want to type, that just goes a little bit quicker. To get Gboard installed, you swipe up from the bottom of the screen and go to your Google Play Store. From the Google Play Store, if you hit this search icon, you can then go ahead and type out Gboard. So when you find Gboard, you're going to tap on that, and then this will say install. Go ahead and install Gboard. So with Gboard installed, you're going to swipe down, go to the gear icon, and then under settings, go to general. Under general, you're going to find input. So here's input. We're going to tap on keyboard list and default. And here it says default keyboard Samsung. We're actually going to choose Gboard. So it'll say here, turn on the selected keyboard. Gboard may be able to collect all the text and information that you type. I'm just going to say OK. So now Gboard is selected. If I go to start a chat with somebody and I go to type something, I'm now going to see Gboard installed on my Galaxy Watch 4. So the Galaxy Watch 4 comes with all these great things. You've got the built-in GPS, you can connect to Wi-Fi, you can have the always-on display, and you can do the NFC payments. But ask yourself, are you using all those functions? Are you using all those functions all the time? If not, if you swipe down from the top of the screen and go into quick settings, you can easily turn all these functions on or off as needed. So this watch icon is going to be the always on display. If you're not using that, turn it off, or if you just want to use it at certain times. The other thing is if you scroll over, so you've got things like Wi-Fi. As long as you've got your phone within Bluetooth range of your watch, you don't necessarily need to have Wi-Fi on for it to get information. Having your watch connected to Wi-Fi is great if you're going to be doing things like downloading a bunch of music to the watch. If you're going to be streaming something, that's where having the Wi-Fi is really something useful, and you can easily turn that on and off on the watch. Otherwise, it's just eating away at your battery. If you're not actively using that, turn that function off. So you can also go into quick settings and turn off NFC payments. So if you know you're not going to be using that function of your watch for maybe the next day or so, you can go ahead and just unhighlight that or uncheck that. And now that's one less thing that's using battery on your watch. And you can do all this stuff from quick settings. If you're finding that you don't have that icon for something like NFC payments, you would have to have that set up and enabled on your watch, but you can simply scroll to the end of this quick settings, click the plus, and then as you scroll through this, find the icon you want, such as this NFC, and you can either add it or remove it to your quick settings list. The other great thing about the Galaxy Watch 4 is it's got the built-in GPS, which you might be using for workouts or tracking if you're doing driving, things like that. But if that, again, is a function that you're not actively using, go ahead and turn that off. If you are taking your phone with you anyways, if you're doing jogs or runs, and you're going to use the GPS from your phone, you don't need to be doubling that effort by using the battery for the GPS on the watch. So you can, by just doing little tweaks and turning on and off settings that you need or don't need, that every little bit is going to help increase the amount of battery that you have on your watch. So I mentioned turning Wi-Fi off to save battery on the watch, but Wi-Fi is also useful for doing things like updating apps on the watch, downloading music. Something that you can do is you can set the watch into developer mode and then manually choose so that the watch goes and turns on Wi-Fi when you set it on the charger. So if you know that it's going to want to do updates and things like that, you can do all that while the watch is charging, not even bothering you the rest of the time. And easily doing that by just swiping down from the top of the screen, hitting the gear icon, and then under settings, scroll all the way to the bottom where you see About Watch. When you tap on About Watch, you want to look for the software area, and then under software, go under software and you'll see software version, and by just tapping this a bunch of times, all of a sudden now it'll say developer mode turned on. So I did that by just tapping a bunch of times on the software version. I'm going to swipe to the right to back up a little bit. I'm going to swipe right again to back up. This is now that main setting area. So this is the main settings screen. And towards the bottom there where we had the About Watch, just above that is this developer options that has appeared. If we tap on that, this gives us all sorts of different settings that we can kind of customize. We want to scroll down until we see the Wi-Fi setting. So here is the turn on Wi-Fi automatically when charging. You want to make sure that that is toggled on. So make sure that's turned on. And now your watch will automatically connect to Wi-Fi when charging. Do any of those app updates, download any music that you might want downloaded or anything else. And then you don't constantly have to be using battery for Wi-Fi when you're using the watch during your day. So let's talk about workouts and health tracking. Just be smart about using the watch. So it's got the built-in GPS. If you are going to be doing like an outdoor run like myself, right now it says locations turned off. I can turn that on right here in the app, or I can choose to just skip that and go right into my workout. Essentially, you're going to get better battery life if you're exercising and the watch is using the GPS from your phone. Now, you can easily turn the GPS back on by just going into your quick settings, scrolling over to the location. That's going to turn it back on, but then I noticed that it doubles the amount of battery depletion during a workout. So for a 30-minute run, it's now going to deplete my battery, 6, 7, 8% versus the like 2 to 3% that it would normally do with the GPS turned off. So if you want the built-in GPS, definitely use it, but just be smart that if you're taking your phone with you anyway, use the GPS from your phone and help save some of the battery on your watch. The other thing is the Samsung Health app is constantly monitoring your heart rate and also your stress unless you change it in settings. So you can go to your gear icon and then under settings, go to Samsung Health. And you'll see here under the Samsung Health settings that you can measure your heart rate continuously, which is great. But if you already know what your heart rate's been and you just want to do it like every 10 minutes while still or manual, that is not going to use as much battery as measuring continuously. Same thing with stress. That is set to measure continuously. You can set that to manual. And then again, that is not going to be using as much battery as if you're constantly having it do those measurements. Something else under Samsung Health is if you keep scrolling down under those settings, you're also going to have the option here whether you want to receive inactive time alerts, where the watch is going to give you an alert after 50 minutes of inactivity. If you don't want those alerts, you can go ahead and turn that function off. Again, the watch is constantly monitoring for your activity, and by turning that off, you also save some battery. You can also check out some other great health and fitness apps besides Samsung Health. I did a whole video on my favorite health and fitness apps for the Galaxy Watch 4. That'll also be linked down in the video description below. Something else that's really cool about the Galaxy Watch 4 is if you really want to save a lot of battery, or if the battery gets down to, I think it's 10% or less, it'll actually ask you if you want to put it into watch only mode, and this will extend the battery life up to like 14 days. If this is something that you want to manually do, you can go under your quick settings, click on the gear, and then you're going to scroll down on this list here until you see battery. And let's just go ahead and tap on battery. We can go down this list, and if we go all the way to the bottom, we'll see watch only mode. I'm going to click on that, and then it tells me here estimated battery life at this point is 9 days, 22 hours. I can press the home key to show the time. That's literally all the watch is going to do, so we're going to go ahead and turn that on. You'll see here it's turning watch only mode on, and then if I go ahead and tap this power button, all I'm going to see is the time in the watch. All the smart features are turned off. Is literally just going to show me time at this point. To turn all the smart functions back on the watch, you can just go ahead and long press down on this top right button, and then it's going to essentially restart your watch. But if you know for an extended period of time you're not going to be using the watch and you don't have a charger with you, putting it into watch mode is going to save the battery and still give you the time option. So in final thoughts about how to extend battery life for the Galaxy Watch 4, using the charging puck, you can get yourself multiple chargers. So you can put one at your desk, maybe one by your bedside. That's what I do. And then if I find that I can pop the watch off my wrist for a little bit during my morning routine while I'm taking a shower, getting ready for the day, if I can charge the watch for 20 minutes, a half hour, if I charge the watch for a half hour, I can usually get about 25% charge. And then if I do the same thing at night before I go to bed, that's another 25% charge. That gives me about 50% battery, which I've found I use about 50% of the battery throughout a day. It equals out pretty good. And then that allows me to always have charge for the watch. I'm also pretty practical. If I know I'm not going to be using a lot of features on the watch, I'll turn those features off. Sometimes I've put the watch into watch mode. I know it seems to ask me that when it gets down under like 10%. As kind of an emergency thing, it'll be like, hey, do you want to just put the watch in watch mode? Still giving me the options to access the time, but just not giving me all those smart features. And then when I am able to get back to a charger to charge it back up, I just restart the watch and turn it back on to give me all those smart functions. So just finding ways to kind of work into your schedule what works best for using the watch. I think everybody's got different schedules and different uses for the watch, and I think you just have to find out what works best for you. But I think knowing all the different options you have to help you save battery is beneficial in using the Galaxy Watch 4. So which one of these tips did you find most useful to improve the battery life of your Galaxy Watch 4? Let me know down in the comments section below, and I've done a whole other bunch of videos on this channel on the Galaxy Watch 4, things like my top apps for productivity, gaming, puzzles, all sorts of stuff, my top watch faces, as well as other tip videos and things that you must know and do first when you're getting your Galaxy Watch 4. You can check out all those cool videos linked down in a playlist in this video description. Hey, my name is Jeff, and as always, I appreciate you watching. Be sure to make every day awesome, and I will see you in the next video.